Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Radix podcast. I'm so glad that you're here. We have a new guest with us, Kristi Jencks. Welcome, Kristi.
I'm so excited to be here. I've been looking forward to, coming on the RedX podcast. It's such a great community, and thank you guys for having me.
Of course, we are so grateful that you took time out of your busy schedule. You have 8 kids, you're a coach, you've got a lot going on. So we are appreciative that you're taking the time out of your day to come and share your expertise today. I'm excited.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Awesome. Kate, before we get into the nitty-gritty of what we're going to talk about today, could you give us just a brief intro into who you are for those that don't know you?
Yeah, my name's Kristi Jencks, and I'm a real estate agent in the Southeast Phoenix metro area. So I service Queen Creek and Gilbert and Santan and pretty much that whole Southeast corridor. I have a team. I work with my husband, Merrill, and I'm also a coach for Tom Ferry. So when I'm not coaching, I'm selling real estate, or as you mentioned, I do have a pretty large family. I have 8 kids. So that's kind of, me in a nutshell, but busy and happy and thriving.
I love that. I love your energy. I'm like excited to get into this conversation because I think you have a lot of value to bring, obviously, like listen to all of your expertise and stuff. So today we're kind of talking about expireds. I mean, hello, it's the Redix podcast, of course. But a little differently today, we're going to talk about how to get business from expireds that's not cold calling. But of course, we are a huge proponent of cold calling, but there is a lot of strategies that Kristi is going to talk about today where we can have greater success with expireds other than just picking up the phone. But of course, that is important. Kristi, why don't you start us off a little bit with what you think, where you want to get started, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that. So, I mean, just to be clear, if I needed to get a listing in the next 24 hours or I would lose my real estate license, I would pick up the phone. Okay. So I would absolutely pick up the phone, right? But I also know a lot of agents dread cold calling, right? So here's the truth. In today's expired environment or for sale by owner or geographic farming, right? Sometimes people aren't just waiting around for your call. They're online, they're watching YouTube, they're deciding and making decisions on who they want to work with before you ever pick up the phone. So there are things that you can do to enhance your strategy. And I've brought 5 for you guys today, but why don't we do this, Haley? Why don't we start with direct mail? So as I mentioned, I'm a coach for Tom Ferry, and direct mail is absolutely something that I see my clients using right now that is winning. I'm privileged to coach an agent named Lourdes Maestris in the Fort Lauderdale area who absolutely crushes it with direct mail. So here's why it works, okay? So direct mail is not just, right, like most homeowners receive lame postcards, just sold, free CMA, right? But they don't, the postcards don't speak to the emotional frustration of someone whose home didn't sell, right? We can change that by telling a story and validate their experience and show that you're not just another salesperson, but you're actually a strategist with insight. Like some of the things that Lourdes does is she talks about, we don't wait. One of her newest pieces that I absolutely love is we don't wait for the buyers, we go and find them. And then she shows a heat map of where all of the buyers that she, where the buyers are coming from and how she finds them, like how we sold this home, we found the buyer online or we found the buyer through calling, because that's one of her strategies as well. So here's what I would do. If I was looking to implement a direct mail strategy, I would create a 3-part mailer. Each piece has a specific purpose. You want to send a story-based mailer in sequence, not a generic postcard. You want to lead with something like why homes like yours didn't sell the first time and what's working now, right? So here's part 1. I'll give you 3 ideas or 2 ideas for part 1. Maybe it's something like 3 myths about why homes are not selling, or 3 common reasons homes don't sell and why it's not your fault. Right? We want to lower their defensiveness. We want to create some curiosity, and we want to show empathy, because guess what? It's stressful, right? Like, it's super stressful. The second mailing piece I would look at is a part 2 is I would talk about like what 78% of successful sellers did differently. So interesting enough, currently the seller's success rate in the Phoenix metro area is actually 67%. So it's ripe for opportunity with expireds right here, and mainly that's because it's mainly because of pricing. A lot of the agents are doing a decent job marketing the homes; they're just not pricing them accurately, and therefore the market's rejecting them.
Mm-hmm.
So if we started to talk about how 78% of relisted homes sell in 30 days with one key change, oh, right? It's a unique approach. It's a pricing strategy. Maybe it's staging, maybe it's digital, but now we're creating a curiosity gap. It's going to stand out a little bit different. And then that third postcard, I'm going to have a strong CTA. Want a second opinion. Here's my exact plan. Let's take a look at this together, right? Offer a low pressure home strategy session. Text me plan for your customized second chance strategy, something along those, right? If you could use QR codes that link to short videos. My husband and I have been toying around with, we've been creating videos on why a home didn't sell. So we take a random expired, and most of the time the marketing's good. Most of the time it's just price, right? Or it could also just be when they listed and when they did their price reductions. And sometimes it's marketing. So maybe think about adding a QR code with a video so they can see your face, they can hear your voice, they can, get your tonality. But direct mail has a huge opportunity. Shout out to Listing Leads, Jimmy Mackin's program Listing Leads. They have so many incredible expired templates that they're using in letter form, postcard form, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I love that. I think, just the things that you're saying, I think I'm thinking about the postcards I've gotten from agents in my area, in my house all the time. And it's usually just like their face and they're like, hey, give me a call if you ever want to sell or whatever. And it doesn't really speak to the pain points that I would want an agent to speak to. Right. And so the things that you're saying is like, here's why it's not your fault that your home didn't sell. Like, of course, that's going to pique my interest. And they don't care about you. They care about them and their situation. And so I love that you frame it that way. And also, like with any template that you have, just a disclaimer here, that in RedX, you can upload your own templates and then directly sell it to, or directly send within Vortex to your expired leads. So if anyone's interested in that, I'll have a link below, but you can,
that's
fantastic. Do that within the platform. Yeah. Just to make it easier. And another thing that I was thinking of when you were talking is like direct mail is so successful because people are getting their mail. It's so much easier to get in front of someone than like an email because it gets lost. It's also like a lot of people aren't answering their phones. They're putting on filters on their phones where they can screen and not pick up their phone. So I think it's one of the best ways to get in front of homeowners. It's just, if your postcard sucks, they're just going to move on to the next piece of mail. But if it does, like you said, catch their eye, I think that's great.
I totally forgot about this until just now. But my husband had a coaching client in the Los Angeles area, and this may offend some people, but he had terrible handwriting. I mean, terrible handwriting, okay? And he would handwrite. That this was crazy to me. Now, he ended up figuring out a way to like handwrite one, copy it, like kind of almost like a yellow letter strategy.
Yeah.
But it wasn't nice looking. Like it was a little bit sketch, in my opinion. But I could not believe the amount of success he was having with this expired campaign with a handwritten note card. And it was so different. It was so unique that people would call him. And it was a very simple, it was like, I understand. I've actually been selling a lot of homes like yours. I have a different strategy. Give me a call. And it was nothing fancy. The only thing he would do a little bit differently is he would put it in a colored envelope. So it was handwritten, or at least looked handwritten. And it even had a misspelling in it. I was like, oh my gosh, I would never send something out like that. Well, crow in my face, because 100% it worked, because it was a pattern interrupt. It wasn't a generic something like just to throw away.
I love that. And the authenticity of that too, like people will eat that up. I love that. That's such a good strategy. I think I've heard too, just like writing a letter even, I mean, handwritten, just, I never get those. I mean, you open 100% of those because
Yep.
you can tell it's a letter, it's handwritten. And so I love that. Awesome.
Yeah.
Anything else with direct mail before we move on to the next strategy?
No, let's jump over to social media. Okay. Now, I love social media, and a lot of y'all are wasting too much time on social media, but there's absolutely incredible strategy with social media. So here's why social media works. Homeowners, especially for sell by owners, expired people, they're lurking on social media.
Right.
They often will post their own listings on Facebook Marketplace or in local groups. You know, they're browsing the neighborhood. They're browsing comps. They're browsing Zillow. We know that, right?
Yeah.
So we want to create some local buzz, right? And so here's what I would do, and here's what some of my incredible coaching clients do. I would create almost like 3 types of content buckets in rotation. Haley, have you ever spoken about something like, I just picked up off my desk, I have this lavender mist, right? This isn't pre-planned. We've never spoken about lavender mist. 100% guarantee that in the next 24 hours, your phone, if it's near you, is going to show you something about lavender, a lavender farm, lavender lotion, lavender mist, like, right? So we also know that these algorithms like to show content based on what people are searching and what they're looking at, right? So
Yeah.
I would create 3 types of content in rotation for your social media. The first bucket would be educational. Now, I don't want you dancing on a countertop or anything like that. I want you to use keywords like why this home sat for 90 days with no offers, right? So again, think about your audience.
Right.
Why is it not selling series of videos? What's happening? Like, so again, for sell by owner and also expireds and canceleds, they're concerned like my home didn't sell. So
Yeah.
what's causing homes not to sell? You know, that, so first bucket, educational, but think keywords, think pain points that they're experiencing. The next bucket I would do is market snapshot, right? So now we know that their home's not selling. Become a market expert. So you're going to be talking about hyper local stats, days on market. So for instance, there are 4 stats that I'm leading my listing appointments with right now when I'm talking to people who, and I've sold a couple of expireds already this year. And one of the things I'm talking about is the listing success rate. You're not alone, Haley. A third of all the home sellers right now in the Phoenix metro area are not successful. But we actually are selling right around 6,000 homes a month. Yours could be one of them. We just need to tweak the strategy, right? So I'm going to talk about listing success rate. I'm going to talk about it's taking on average about 90 days. Now, some homes are selling quicker. You're probably curious, well, the homes that are selling quick, what are they doing? We're going to talk about the fact that, and this is a big one, and this I don't know your home, but this could be the issue. The original list price to sales price it's 90% right now. So sellers are having to adjust their expectations, right? And so these are just some of the numbers that as a market expert, especially hyper local, so I would be doing this like Santan Valley homes are actually selling for 7% less than they were last year. Here's what you can do to win in today's market, right? But meanwhile, in Tempe, they're actually up almost 3%, right? So we're going to talk about market snapshot. The third bucket that I would do is show them behind the scenes. Show them how you prepare. Like, think of this as a case study. How do you prepare homes for the market, right? What AI tools are you using? You know, maybe you do something like Zillow Showcase. We use Zillow Showcase a lot, and it's an incredible tool. Not a lot of agents invest money in marketing strategically. Well, in a tough market, you want an agent who's going to invest to sell your home. So then I would boost those ad strategies. You want to target zip codes. You want to, and you can also do this through Google, because remember, Google will allow you to target down to 1 mile, where obviously Facebook is going to be 15 miles. So depending on the opportunity that you have for expireds, but you can also use the interest. Facebook has an interest called home ownership.
Yeah.
And then I would target people between the ages of 35 and 65. You're more likely to hit that expired for sale by owner, bucket. Use polls in your stories. That's another great one. Something about thinking about selling or worried your home won't sell again. Use replies to start conversations. So social media absolutely has a place when you want to attract people who were thinking about selling but were not successful.
Yeah, a couple of thoughts there is every single person, that has social media, if you're doing direct mail and you get their mailer in the mail, they're going to look you up on social media.
100%.
And if you call them on the phone, they're going to look you up on social media. So like your presence is important. And I've talked to so many agents that have gotten deals just because they have a presence on social media, and it's doing stuff exactly like what you're talking about. Also about targeting on social media, we have a tool. It's called Ad Builder. Really, it's just in the platform, and you can create a custom audience for Facebook with your expired leads or for sale by owner leads, so that it's super concentrated on the people that are looking to relist or are selling their homes on their own. So I just wanted to plug that too, if people wanted to be interested in that. But I love it.
I think so. Here's how I would take that a step further, Haley, is since Redx has this incredible tool where you can create a custom audience, I would create that 3-part series of videos. And as you're setting up the ad, if they watch video 1, show them video 2. If they watch video 2, show them video 3. And now you are retargeting them, which, really creates that frequency, familiarity. Stack this on top of the phone call, stack this on top of the direct mail piece. And now all of a sudden they're like, why didn't we list with Haley? You know what I mean? Because she's everywhere. Clearly she knows how to market.
Yeah, totally. And if you're scared of cold calling, like that creates a cold lead to a warm lead without you ever picking up the phone. And then as soon as you do, they're like, oh, I've seen you on Facebook. Like, yeah, let's have a conversation. Where it's a lot scarier for a homeowner to be like, oh yeah, I'll do business with you, but I've talked to you on the phone once. But if they're seeing you everywhere and hearing you everywhere, like you said, it's amazing. Golden. Love it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the next one.
Yeah. So another one that we're seeing a lot of success with is, think of it as like an in-person. Now you could do this virtually. So you could do this webinar style, and you could also do it in person. So I'll let you kind of decide, but think of this as an educational workshop or webinar. So here's why it works. We know that these sellers often feel misled. They feel burned by the agent or the system. And so if you start to host a no pitch, value-driven event, well, now you can reposition yourself as a trusted guide. You shift from salesperson to educator, which is going to lower the resistance but build authority, right? And we know from 1000 Watts research that they surveyed a bunch of sellers and they said, what was the most difficult part of the home selling process? And the vast majority came back saying, finding an agent that I liked and I trusted. So people don't trust real estate agents. Imagine that you also found someone, you tried to sell your home, it didn't work. And also, we know that the number one complaint from NAR that people have about their agent is communication. And I would tell you right now, you need to lead with a communication guarantee, because these people have probably been burned. So here's how I would use it. Offer a 30-minute live or Zoom strategy for this type of person, right? So you want to position yourself as being a modern advisor, right? This is not a sales pitch. It's not going to be a pitch. And you're going to talk about why homes like yours didn't sell and what you can do differently this time, right? How to sell your home without getting burned by the market again. Or something like maybe what Zillow doesn't tell you why homes really don't sell or do. So again, the idea is like they experience something. You're going to include in your presentation case studies of how people sold their home the second time, right? You're going to talk about myths of overpricing, because most of the time, I know in my marketplace, the biggest issue right now is pricing. So you're going to talk about myths about pricing, and maybe even offer to do some live Q&A where they can ask some questions, right? So obviously, if it's in person, you want to have that, and you want to lead with something like, I created this because I've seen too many homeowners waste 60 plus days, and I just want to show you the shift that's happening right now and how homeowners are succeeding. Because again, there's still homes are still selling.
Yep.
Why didn't theirs sell? what happened? What didn't and I'm not trying to bash another agent or anything like that, but clearly something in the strategy didn't work.
Right.
And, chances are they wanted to sell. What changed?
Yeah, I love that, coming as an educator, someone to bring value. And yeah, you're right, because I think especially nowadays, like the first thought of when I think of a real estate agent, it's like, oh, salesy, they just want my business, like, and because maybe agents have given off that, or and expireds, of course, are like, okay, this agent is whatever, didn't do this or didn't do that. So I love that is fixing like a false perception, but also putting you as the expert that they are able to go to. I love it.
Yeah. Okay, let's do one. This is actually one of my favorites. And so I am going to do a little confession. I don't like to drive. And so I like to do business as close to home as possible. And so years ago, I set myself up on a search. So I call this the save search and a daily drop, right? I'm utilizing some things. So here's why it works. I'm going to the house. I'm going to go in person. The homeowner wasn't successful, but instead of, why didn't my home sell? What I really wanted them to know is what changed in the market that they didn't know about, right? So so step one, I create a custom MLS search that's just for me. And it's going to be about canceled and expireds. I draw a radius. So think about, like, for me, I don't want to drive more than 15 minutes from my house. So I'm going to draw a 15-mile radius of where I would be willing to drive in a day to deliver this bad guy, right? So that's step one. I like to give it a fancy name, like something like your neighborhood watchdog or something like that, right? Like it's got to be inspiring,
I love it.
what's selling near your address. Because again, it's just going to go to you. So every day I get an email in my inbox of the expires. Now, not the whole valley, right? Because I will drive 30 minutes to a listing appointment, right? But for someone like just to get in my car to go to a house of a stranger, I want it to be convenient, and so my radius is significantly smaller. This isn't the people that I'm going to call only. These are the people that I'm actually going to go to the door, right? So I set up the save search and I go over to their house and I deliver my little box of goodies. And inside of my box of goodies, I have, it's tissue paper and some different things like that. My contact card, I've got a nice fancy pen in here, a pad of paper. And I also have, my home didn't sell. Now what? And this is my first part to create that curiosity gap. Now, ideally, I want to get an appointment. Right? So that's another thing I should clarify. I'm only doing this for owner occupied homes. This box, so that's one of the filters that you need to set up. It needs to be owner occupied, right? So I'm also going to include a market snapshot. So we talked about being a market expert. I'm going to break down, why homes are not selling and what people are doing that are successful. I may even, if I don't get a hold of them, I may put a little post-it on here. But I actually cannot even credit the person that I originally learned this from. I feel kind of bad because we've been doing it for so long. But, it says, caution, opening this box may cause your home to sell. And, we've got innovation and technology. Are you ready to get your home sold? Creativity, social media, and then, of course, my team, name on here. And so this box, if I were to do it again in full transparency, when I'm done with this series of boxes, because I ordered a lot, I would make it actually letter size. So that's one of the problems that I didn't think about that in advance. Like my booklet, I love how small it is, and I can store a lot, but I really wish this was larger in terms of my books and things like that. So, at the end of the day, you just go to their house, knock on the door, right? Now, I'm not doing full-blown CMAs because I haven't seen the house. So I'm really more focused on some general market stats. And, maybe even if you have those 4 numbers that I mentioned earlier, You could talk about the fact that, my listing success rate is 98%. My list price to sales price ratio is 99%. My days on market's 52, where everybody else is 90. You could stack the cool, but just get in your car, go over there, knock on the door, offer some value, and set an appointment.
What does that conversation, like someone opens the door, what are you saying initially?
A lot of times people don't open the door, to be perfectly honest. That a lot of times people do not open the door. So most of the time you're getting a phone call back and they're like, hey, you dropped something off, or you don't get any phone call back. And that's again where we stack the cool, because we're calling. And so then if I can get a hold of you, I was like, Haley, I dropped a box off at your home. I just wanted to make sure you got it. It was specifically for you. And you know what I mean? So, and if they do open the door, we talk about, I noticed that your home came off of the market. One of the things I do is specialize in educating homeowners on what they can do differently to get their home sold. Are you still needing to get this home sold? Right. And at that point, you're going for the appointment, you've got the box. But to be honest, most of the time they don't open the door.
Yeah, I mean, but I love all of these things compounding, just to increase the likelihood that they'll set an appointment with you and list with you, because like, you're doing all of this stuff and there's so many agents that won't even pick up the phone, right? They won't even do that. And so all of that is just compounding, and I love it. So,
yeah.
All right.
Last tip. I got one more tip.
Let's go.
We are in a unique era, an opportunity right now where AI is truly changing search. How people search. So I am an AI certified coach. I'm very passionate about my clients using AI to enhance their business, and not just ChatGPT to write a listing description. My clients are getting referrals from Grok and ChatGPT and Perplexity. What does that mean? It means that a consumer went in. So Michael Rennick in Longboat Key, Florida, a client of his went into Grok AI and said, I'm looking to buy a condo in Longboat Key. I want an agent that has incredible customer service. And it said, you should contact Michael Rennick. He is known for da, 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 da. Same thing with ChatGPT. So I just got another email from a client on Monday. It was so cool. He was like, I did what you said, coach, and I got my first ChatGPT lead. And it was a person that went into ChatGPT and said, I'm relocating. Now, this was a buyer lead. Both of these examples are buyer leads, but it also works for seller leads. I should have prepared my examples on seller leads, dang it. But in both instances. So now imagine that you are a savvy homeowner. Okay. Here's why having an AI strategy really matters for multiple things. But imagine that you are a homeowner and you're super frustrated. You're down to the wire. You're already relocated. You're going to be leaving and your home didn't sell. You go into your favorite AI tool. You say, I tried to sell my home earlier this year. It wasn't successful. I'm looking for a real estate agent who knows how to sell homes quickly, or even who's actually sold homes that previously didn't sell, right? Those are keywords. So what the reason that I bring this up is that we have a potential to get AI to suggest us just by enhancing the keywords that we use. So just like social media puts in front of you, TikTok puts in front of you things that it thinks you're going to like, your For You page knows you.
Yep.
You can stack the cool of your Zillow online profile, your realtor.com profile, your expert agent, all of your Google business profile, your website, about you page, all of that, and stack keywords, right? Kristi Jencks specializes in selling homes that were previously listed but did not sell. She has a 10-point strategy to sell homes that might be unsellable, right? Like think of how the consumer feels, right? So one, enhance your profiles for the keywords that people would use. That's one strategy that I would do, right? You can also install a chat bot on your website that is preloaded with common questions, right? So I would even on your website, one thing that'll help you is if you created an FAQ page, right? Create a frequently asked question page that is preloaded with, why homes didn't sell. Should I reduce the price? Should I use an agent to sell my home? So common questions that someone who, is it really important to stage my home to get it sold? right? I'm thinking about staging my home. Or, how important are 3D tours? How important is, all of these questions, right? And, have that frequently asked questions in there. You can use that. But then you can also create a chat bot to engage with that consumer when they're either online looking and searching, and then you get suggested. But you can use AI and automation behind the scenes to help you follow up with all of your incredible RedX leads, right? So when's the last time you beefed up your texting, your text sequences or your emails? Have you taken time to go into AI and create an ideal client profile? What are the pain points of someone who tried to sell their home and wasn't successful? What are the fears? What are the goals? What are the inner dialogues? What is the motivation, right? Like, how well do you understand that persona? And once you train your AI, so I would ask it a series of questions like that. Once you train your AI, it can create content for you that speaks to the goals, fears, motivations, and inner dialogues of someone who's tried to sell their home but wasn't successful. And, if use it in text messages, use it in email. There's so many different ways that you can incorporate AI into your business to be successful.
I love, like, there's so many people now obviously turning to ChatGPT, AI, everything for all of their questions and not Googling things anymore. So like your Google reputation can be really great and you can even pay for Google ads to show up. But at the end of the day, like, I mean, less and less people are doing Google searches and more are going into AI. And so I love that. And I love that the power of just beefing up your own stuff, that you will come up in AI. And so I love that. I love the beefing up your follow-up sequences. There's so many, like, AI is so good. You just have to train it, right? Like you said, you have to ask the right questions and tell it how to write your emails in a style that fits you. But like once it knows your audience and knows what you sound like, it can create amazing content. So I love that.
I forgot to mention one of my favorite ways. So Tom Ferry, we have an AI called Revy, and I love to role play. So that's like, if you're getting ready to jump on the phone, get into a role play with your AI, right? Like, get into a role play. I renamed my AI Chatty, based on a friend's recommendation. I loved it. So I get Chatty, I phone in to Chatty. I use the voice mode and I just role play with that. And I even tell it, like, I want you to be difficult. I want you to be opinionated. I want you to be burned. You will do so much better. Don't practice on your clients. Practice with your AI.
I love that. I haven't heard that. And that is like that. I mean,
voice mode on ChatGPT. So if you go voice mode on ChatGPT, you can it talks. And the cool thing is it will also work on tonality, inflection, your upswing, your downswing. You can do so many incredible things.
I love that. Like, if you go into an office, like, just put ChatGPT in your car going and like you can do a role play on your way to the office.
Yes.
And amazing. I love that. Kristi, thank you so much. Like, in just 30 minutes, you packed so much, and I love it because it was all tactical things that they can implement like right now. So I love that. Where can people find you if they're interested in more learning about you, stuff like that?
Absolutely. So I am definitely on social at Kristi Jencks. And then I do have an email newsletter called Take It and Run. Every single week, I give strategies just like this. So the premise is, if you don't have an appointment, try this. So if you don't have an appointment today, try this. So you can go to KristiJencks.com to learn more about me. Find me on Instagram, send me a message, sign up for my newsletter, and let's definitely connect on social.
Amazing. I will have all of that linked below for anyone that is interested. Thank you so much, Kristi, for coming on the podcast. I loved this. This was so great. Thank you, everybody, for tuning into the podcast. Of course, we bring on the best of the best to talk about strategies that you can implement in your business right now. We are here every Thursday, 1:30 p.m. Mountain Time. That is 3:30 Eastern Time. And we'll see everybody same time, same place next week. Bye-bye.